years. I got to tell you, the hardest thing about planning for tonight is what stories I'm going to share with you. I mean, I have stories. I can't believe. I mean, there's so many stories. Like, what stories would I possibly say? I'm going to start with this one. So I went home this summer. I had never been home. I graduated in 1972, do the math. And I had never gone home, and my brother was 60 years old. And so he said, would you come to my birthday party? It's like home, come home. So I did, and I saw some people. Oh my. I recognized a couple of them. And there was this one man, like you know somebody, like you know him, like, oh man, came over. Once he started speaking, then I knew who he was. And he said to me, well, why haven't you come home before this? And I said, I don't know. How do you explain it? Like, once you leave the farm, how do you explain to them that you don't want to go home? So he said, well, have you had a good life? Oh, yeah. Did you write that cookbook? And like, there's this whole flood of memories. I had won the Betty Crocker Award 2 years in a row. So they just had my life planned out for me, and I was going to write a cookbook. And I said to him, you know, I wanted to say this to him. Well, actually, I started a nationally accredited college, and we're recognized by the U.S. Department of Education, and people know us from all over the world. We have an education program that specializes in nutrition, and we do a few cooking classes. But I didn't, because I learned grace. Sometimes home isn't where you were born. This is my home. So why? This is what I know. For some of you, this is your home. You can't go home because you are home. If you know me at all, or if you've heard me as a teacher, oftentimes you'll say that sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is love your family from afar. I do that really well sometimes. And thank you. In just a little while, we're going to have a chance to hear from Linda about the experience that is happening tonight. And I don't want to step ahead. So one of the things is a little bit different. I have never spoken without a PowerPoint. Have you guys ever seen me speak without a PowerPoint? No. So I'm a little nervous because, oh my gosh, what if I don't know what to speak about? So I thought 5 things I'm going to speak about real quickly that apply to you. Okay, so that's a good thing. So number 1 that you're wondering that applies to you, why was she chosen to start this school? Did you ever wonder that? Like, what qualified Casey? You didn't? No. I did. Actually, I did. I mean, really, if you think about it, it was a very, very questionable choice on God's part. Like, I'm going to choose that little dyslexic that really doesn't read real well and doesn't spell at all. Now, I spell pretty well with spell check, right? And all she has going for her is that she can talk anyone into anything. I mean, really, those are my credentials, right? Is that true? So I thought, have you ever thought to yourself, am I qualified? Have you ever thought about that? Like, no, God can't pick me to do that piece of work because I'm not qualified. I'm not good enough. I'm not. I mean, listen, think about it now. Would it have been a logical choice to choose me? You say, yeah. Let me tell you what I figured out. I'm reliable. Like, when God calls me, I don't ask a lot of questions. There are times I should ask a few more questions. I always say, if I get the idea, then God probably wants me to say yes, so I think I'll just start. Is that right, Steph? So the number one thing I want you to realize is that you are qualified. That something in your past is qualifying you to do exactly what you're dreaming of doing today. Did you hear that? If you're dreaming about it, it's because you're qualified. So I think back a little bit. I was actually having lunch with my husband today, and I said, you know, I just remembered this qualification I have. When I was in high school, I was a really, really good cheerleader. Could you see me as a cheerleader? Go, Jen, go! I had a really loud voice, and I was, well, this is the thing. When I was cheerleading, it's like, don't go over there, charge him, follow him, get him, why'd you do that? Do this, get over here, I can see him, get over here. That's the way I was as a cheerleader. Like, I am screaming at the guys. And the coach finally said, I'm going to have you stay home, Casey. Like, they're not listening to me, they're listening to you. It's like, no. Okay. Well, that year, under my cheerleading experience, we won state. Oh man, it was so great. And I don't know what, if any of you've done this in high school where you won, like you get this letter. Like this letter, we had a P, it was for prairie dogs, that was our mascot, P. And like, I wanted one of those letters because I was the one that was screaming out there, we're having a great time. When it came time to have the letters, they got the boys these coats. What did you say they were called? Letter jackets. So I'm waiting for the letter jacket. I was on that team. They said, well, Casey, we don't give the girls letter jackets. Why? Well, they're expensive. So next year I decided I'm not going after the team. I'm not going to cheerlead. So I didn't cheerlead. And guess what happened? They didn't win. So guess who had to come to me? The coach. Do you want to cheerlead? I want a jacket. So I realized all these years, Richard, you're gonna love this. All these years I thought I was qualified as a cheerleader, but I was qualified as the coach. That's what it was, right? So we're qualified. And years later, we trained some of the best coaches in the world. Why? Because we're ready for the P. Right? Because we have passion and we're absolutely there to cheer people on. So I was qualified. Number two, one of the things that qualifies me, and I wanted to teach you about this, is I actually talk to God a lot. How many of you are qualified? Yeah. Like I'm talking to God a lot. Do you know the very first memory I have of talking to God? I was in my crib. I remember this specifically because I was in there, because I was talking a lot and walking around a lot. And I was in there, and I remember standing just like this. And you know how you stand like this when you're like maybe about 18 months old? And you're looking up. It was so clear, like there was this telepathic connection. And I said, really, we have to do this again? That was my first conversation with God. My first conversation. When I asked Linda Bennett to do a past life on me, I really wanted to see if this happened. And she said, Casey, I don't think it was like that at all. You were standing like this, and your hand was like this. So it was a true memory, right? So I always call this my God finger. Okay? So I want you to take out your God finger. Just take out your God finger, okay? So one thing about your God finger, I'm not sure if you've realized this, but we all have this God finger. Do you know this? Now, how many of you ever do this? How many of you ever want to do this? Oh man, have I done that. Like I'll get these invitations in my mind and I'm like, so I've really come to realize that all of us need to have a God finger that we can rely on. Okay, so I want you to put your right finger up. This is your God finger. And I want you just to imagine that you're hooked in, like hooked in. And then I want you to take your other finger and just say, yes, I'm hooked. Yes. And say, I'm hooked in, and then say, yes. 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 And if you can't push it down, you are. So ready? Say, I'm hooked in. I'm hooked in. Yes. Are you? Yeah. Yeah. All right, now, I want you to say, what would be kind of a funny thing to say? Oh, this is funny. No. Say no, and then just go. Okay. So this is what I want you to know. Anytime you want to know something, if you say it and you put your God finger up and it says yes, you can know to do it. If it says no, then you know not to do it, right? So that's one of the things you got to know. You see me doing this? You see me do this? I got my God finger up there. But you're going to be able to know what it is that you might want to do. So the one thing that I got to tell you that changed my life was, well, I started being nicer to God. I didn't go quite like this. I'd go like this. I met this book, A Course in Miracles. And it was really a very, very profound day. In fact, I still have my name tag. I think it's that profound. And it said Casey, 1988. And it was this. I used to go to CODA meetings. How many of you know what that is? Yeah. Hi, my name is Casey. I'm a codependent. Oh, man. I get codependent better than you could imagine. Hi, my name is Casey. I'm a codependent. I said it every day, every week, all the time. And guess what? I was codependent. Well, this was the neat thing about this meeting I went to. It said, hi, my name is Casey, and I'm miracle ready. That was the only way you could introduce yourself. Right, so just say it out loud. Your name, not my name. Hi, I am. I'm miracle ready. All right, let's see if that's true. Put your God finger up. Say your name and say, hi, my name is, I'm miracle ready. Test yourself. Who had like a really strong finger? Yeah? This is the thing about miracles. There is no difficulty in miracles. Did you know that? Like sometimes you think, oh, I hope I'm good enough that God will create a little tiny miracle for me. You ever thought that? Well, this is what it is. God doesn't care what kind of miracle you want. He can create all of that. It can all be accomplished. Is that amazing?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's this. I mean, really, there's a whole long story about how SWIHA got started. And some of them involve miracles, and some of them are really, really big miracles. The first miracle was I really could have used a husband. And so I'm thinking, he always says that I don't I was kind of ready, kind of maybe, And I think one of your stories about me is that you felt I was a hard placement and that somebody had to do it. He tells that story sometimes.
I think it was special.
Special. It was quite divine. We met, and he didn't like me. What? I was rather bossy. Don't say that. We were on a sales call together, and we were selling corporate training, and I sold the contract. And he was starting to give extra information that was not necessary. There may still be a bruise.
It's a temp.
It's a temp. And God knew better. Strange series of events ends up a few years later asking me on a date. I go to the door because I'd been at a conference very much like this, or a presentation very much like this. And I said, after I get finished speaking, I'll come over and we're going to go out for a date, right? And there's this little cherub that opens the door and said, hi, are you my new mom? It was really, really exciting from there. Fast forward, we get married. And this is the third thing. Ready for this? When you're unhappy, bitch about it. Can you do that? No, that was a joke. No, that's a joke. What happened is I was working for a man that I needed to love from afar. Did you get that one? And I was coming home to my husband almost every night with these better ideas of how it could be done. Ever had any of those? And finally, he said to me, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Well, God and I have been talking about starting school. What would it take? Oh my gosh, honey. $3,000. He wrote me out a check for $3,000 and put in the memo loan.
Could I get that back?
You don't want to chatter under your teeth about what isn't working. You want to look real clearly at what you're afraid of working. Did you get that? What is it that I'm afraid of? And then have a really good coach, partner, friend say to you, what would you do if you weren't afraid? What will happen is you'll say it and your God finger will almost hit you in the eyeball. Because it's so clear that you do know exactly what your destiny is. And that's what happened to us. We started school. A lot of amazing things happened. And I just want to stop and say that one of the things that I didn't ask enough questions. And the very first class, we had 6 people in the class. One of them was Shelley Tom, right? And I'm pretty sure it went like this. Shelley, I need another person in the class, right? How do you remember it?
I remember it just like that.
Yeah. Because we had 5 people signed up, and you never want to have an odd number when you're teaching massage, right? Because you need even bodies. It's like, Shelley, wouldn't you like to come to massage?
I said, sure.
Sure. She didn't ask a lot of questions either. And so we graduated. And then things got a little bit complicated because I was trying to work the front desk and do all these things. And I get a phone call from this guy. This guy is here tonight. Fred, please come up and see me. Yes. Come. This is my brother, Fred. Yeah.